If we take a close look and examine the future of the Star Wars franchise by both Bob Iger and Bob Chapek, we can obviously see that it's quite expansive, not just with their movies and TV shows, but also with their books, novels, comics, video games, and animated TV series as well. That's all currently in the works by Disney and Lucasfilm. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, the great thing about Disney Star Wars so far is that, of course, Kathleen Kennedy is no longer involved on a creative scale when it comes to these new Star Wars TV shows, these new Star Wars movies, you name it. Only 2 Star Wars TV shows is what Kathleen Kennedy is going to be involved with, and that is, of course, the Leslie Headland Star Wars TV show and the untitled animated TV series for Disney+. Besides that, it's all Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, George Lucas, and other creatives coming on board to actually help Bob Chapek really bring Star Wars in a different and better direction. Now, on top of all of this, what's really exciting all has to do with, of course, one of the big plans by Bob Chapek to really kind of make the MCU, or should I say the Star Wars universe, on the same exact level as the MCU. And that's exactly what Chapek really wants. He really wants to make it as successful as that in order for Disney to have 2 major franchises pretty much as successful as the other one. Now, with that being said, of course, we do know that they have over 10 years worth of Star Wars projects in the works on Disney Plus alone. Let that sink in for a minute. I mean, that's a lot of Star Wars material. Over 10 Star Wars TV shows in the works, and that's completely separate from the movies, and that's completely separate from the video games and everything else. So you can see how Disney's very busy when it comes, of course, when it comes to, the new Star Wars universe and how that's all being crafted. Now, with that being said, what's really intriguing is that now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are finished with The Rise of Skywalker, they are now primarily focused on their new Star Wars trilogy of films, as well as their new Star Wars universe in general. Now, it's explained that one of the major plans by the new Disney CEO, Bob Chapek, is, of course, to reunite the Star Wars fans around the world in order to create a better and brighter future for the Star Wars universe. Now, it's noted that one strategy by Bob Chapek in order to make 2021 a successful setup year for the new Star Wars projects is to have George Lucas replace Kathleen Kennedy for a temporary time in the beginning of 2021 in order to handle the business end of Lucasfilm and properly setting up the roadmap of the new Star Wars films and TV shows before the permanent president of Lucasfilm steps in. Now, it's noted that this plan by Chapek is to make sure that the Star Wars fans can have somebody to look up to when it all comes down to the roadmap being unveiled in the coming months, and that Lucas is described to be eventually fully in charge of how the roadmap will be utilized for film and television on Disney+. Now, let me stop right here for a second, is because, well, I think that Kathleen Kennedy really handled the roadmap of Star Wars poorly. After all, she is the one responsible who created this hiatus of Star Wars movies in between, this roughly 3.5-year gap in between The Rise of Skywalker and the new Star Wars movie that's slated for release in 2022, is that was all Kennedy, that was not Disney. And now we can see that they want other people like Lucas to handle the business end, to actually handle the roadmap and the marketing of it all in the very beginning of 2021. Now, Kennedy already has plans to quit Lucasfilm in late 2020 this year that will go into full effect sometime in early 2021, and that Chapek has even offered Lucasfilm, or should I say Lucas, to become the permanent president of Lucasfilm, beyond his temporary placement. However, Lucas has been unsure of taking that offer as of yet, and that Chapek also has Favreau and others on the list to take over as president permanently for the coming year throughout this decade. Now, this plan by Disney is to bring, of course, Star Wars at the same level as the MCU, and how Kevin Feige handled everything with the roadmap of the Marvel movies and TV shows. So here's the thing about Bob Chapek. He really is trying to make a legacy of his own. He's trying to create an image of himself to the Star Wars fandom, to the Star Wars community, and just all fans, whether you're a casual, new, or hardcore fan of Star Wars. He really wants to make himself pretty much a known figure of really rebuilding Star Wars, evolving it, fixing it, whatever you want to say, right? Now, this entire scenario of having George take over temporarily, that works for me. 100% it works for me. Did I expect him, or do I expect him to take it permanently? I'm not so quite sure about that. He has expressed before that was the main reason as to why he sold the rights over to Disney in the first place is because, number one, you know, it is quite a workload to really write and direct and craft and filmmake an entire new Star Wars trilogy. And number two is that he got a lot of criticism with the prequels, and it kind of tore him down a bit. So I could see why he wouldn't have decided on the offer of stepping in permanently as of yet. But in the beginning of 2021, he's going to be handling this roadmap before the permanent president, like maybe Jon Favreau or somebody else, steps in to officially replace Kathleen Kennedy permanently. So like I've said before in the past, guys, you know, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Night to moon, we hear them moans again.